Alright, we are now live on TikTok as well as YouTube. We're going to wait a few more moments just so people are able to actually come into the stream. I did say we're going to start in 2 minutes, so we'll wait for a little bit, but we'll get started pretty quickly here. Big moves within the crypto market, that's for sure. Looking for continuation on these alts to gain a bid. Makes sense that alts are falling just in terms of the tools that we're using to assess the altcoin market. Total 2 is coming back down to a support. We can probably get that into a 1 day. Lots of volatility there. Surprisingly, we don't see the volatility in BTC go up that much, even though we're seeing a huge move up, and we're seeing the dominance come back here. Bitcoin taking the lead, which does make sense because when we do look at the overall crypto market, we see that Bitcoin kind of is the only one that's doing well, and most of these alts are hesitating to move higher or actually falling because capital is flowing out of these alts into BTC. So we'll see where it goes from here. Some alts I'm looking at, we'll talk about it within the crypto market update within the video, but the key ones that I'm going to be looking at right now are Cardano, Binance Coin. Chainlink is up there, but we don't really see anything just yet. We do see a formation, but it's yet to break out. And VeChain as well, there's a nice descending zone that is held by a descending triangle formation, and we're just waiting to see if that's going to break out to the upside. And Ethereum to the left here does look pretty good. We are looking for a crack above 325 and a retest on that to continue the overall trend to the upside. So crypto market's looking pretty hot. Silver is definitely moving to the upside. We got a nice continuation pattern up here, and it does look like it's forming another potential continuation. Can't believe it's at $24. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Yesterday was the breakout, and it started at like 8 o'clock-ish p.m. when silver broke out to the upside. So we'll see where it goes. I did not get that entry. I was not on my computer on the Sunday night, so that's how it goes. Binance Coin looking like it's going to be pulling back here. I'm just going to pull it up on my actual exchange so I can see it in a little bit more detail before I jump into the global macro update as well as the crypto market update. So I'm going to be quickly putting on some trend lines here just so we have a good understanding of where BNB is. And it's retesting that zone pretty nicely right now. So holding a zone of support, that would be good to see. But yeah, we're just looking at gold and silver for entries right now. Wish I was on my computer on a Sunday night, but I was not on my computer on the Sunday night. Well, around 8, I was on later on, but a little late to the game on that one. You're not going to catch everything, especially if you're trading in a 24/5 market. Basically, you got to have absolutely no life to catch everything you want. You're on the computer 15, 16 hours a day, every single day, or you are completely glued into your phone, which I do not want to be if I'm mountain biking, snowboarding, hanging out with friends or family. I do not want to be the guy who is not communicating and not socializing, because that's the time I do want to socialize. So, all right, now let's go on to the global macro update here. Are going to get this recording started. Also, for anyone who does have any questions within the global macro update or the crypto market update, don't hesitate to ask. We are going to be taking questions and answering them. So, really do not hesitate to ask questions if you would like to find out more. Just making sure that BNB is looking all right. And getting in a nice trend line right here. Okay, cool. So BNB is looking decent. 2 minutes on the 15-minute chart, but like always, we are going to start off with the SPX. All right, so let's get the recorder. All right. Hey traders, welcome to another global macro as well as a crypto market update. We're going to start off the video with the global macro and then we're going to jump into the crypto side as well. Global macro, talking about equities, has not done a whole lot. Metals are still moving to the upside here. Unfortunately, I did not catch the entry on silver because it was Sunday night. I just was not on my computer at that time and there was no real nice trending move. It was just a massive bullish push to the upside. So unfortunately, we did not get that, but that's okay. We're going to be looking for continuation patterns within the cryptocurrency market. So let's start off with the S&P 500 because that's where we always like to start off within the global macro update. So let's zoom back, take a look at the daily chart and see where we currently are. So there was, in my opinion, a little bit of worry that we were breaking below the mid-June high at 32.26 within the S&P. We did hold that zone initially. We came back down, but it was a little bit worrying because that was a key horizontal zone that we went over, fell below. But the fact that we're holding this still holding a series of higher lows does indicate that the bullish continuation is still present. It'd be nice to see the price go back above the 32.40 zone in order for me to have a little bit more confidence in the overall structure. So let's take a picture what we can see right now. And this is a key level of resistance that I'd like to see the price go above before we really start to look for risk on trades within the global macro space. So we can see there are a series of higher lows and a horizontal level of resistance, creating an ascending triangle structure right here below a major structural resistance. So we know that there's a key structural horizontal zone and we're trending at making higher lows. So we're seeing this ascending triangle formation. So we do see that if we get a move to the upside, if we get a candle closure above our current level of resistance, we could probably hit that 32.80 high that we were at, which is going to be a pretty significant push to the upside, indicating that we're going to have a risk on environment where BTC alts are going to be doing well. And that's what we're going to be looking for. So if we see a move up above here, probably going to be looking for a high to get hit again somewhere around there. So if it does break, we're looking for a move to the upside to continue the trend, continue the risk on environment and sentiment to the upside. And if we break to the downside, we do see that this support zone is held very well as well. So right now, the current structure is a sideways consolidation, right? But we're also making higher lows. So this is the current structure. If we break to the upside, next target is up here. And if we break to the downside, we do see that the support is still held. So we're going to continue to look at the price as a consolidation sideways and not look for shorts, not look for short exposure, not look for risk off potential or exposure until we break the $3,200 level of support. If we break the $3,200 level of support, I think there's going to be further momentum to the downside. But as long as we're holding the higher lows, and if we break the key level of resistance, we're going to continue the move to the upside for the S&P. I think it's going to move up higher. We see other risk-on assets like Bitcoin, absolutely moon, really shoot to the upside. We see things like the US dollar absolutely collapse, which is a risk-off currency, which means that people are taking capital out of safe haven currencies like the Japanese yen, like the US dollar, and injecting it in more speculative investments. What's a little bit surprising, if we're talking about FX, is the fact that the euro is doing extremely well, but that's for another day of discussion. Little discussion on the Russell 2000 here, the small caps. We do see that it is holding the support very well. We were able to hold and create a higher high, and we're holding the horizontal level of support that we see right now. There is a confluence zone if we do connect the higher lows right here. So we will be looking for some sort of confluence where we see the ascending zone create a key level of demand along with the horizontal zone. We do have a little bit of time before that confluence zone does get hit. But overall, the Russell 2000 is moving to the upside, which is great to see. This is for the small caps. And what we're really going to be looking for or looking at for the continuation for risk on exposure is going to be the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ has been relatively strong compared to many of the other indexes, not just in the United States, but globally. And we see the NASDAQ is holding after this very well-respected ascending zone and confluence with the horizontal zone. We do see it did fall a little bit before, or a little bit below the key support zone around 10.5, but it's just the wicks. We see that last time as well. We see wicks move to the downside, but there's buy pressure, there's bids, keeping the pressure on the price. So the price is able to hold this low, and it looks like we're now going to be trending back up because that was an attempt to make a lower low. We were able to hold it, and I still view this as a consolidation sideways. So when we're near a low, if the overall structure of the market is risk on, the price is probably going to move to the upside because global investors are seeking risk. They have higher risk tolerance, and they're looking for trades for risk on exposure, which the NASDAQ is definitely a significant index for that possible trade if you are looking for longs in certain equities, because the NASDAQ has done very, very well. So the fact that we're moving up, let's just go to the 1 hour here. We see the fact that we're making and breaking this key structural zone right here, and it does look like we are holding it. That support, new resistance right there. So structurally speaking, we broke a major significant level, both as a support as well as the resistance from that zone right here. So now the momentum is to the upside, and I think the NASDAQ is going to continue to climb higher, which is just validating even further the obvious risk on sentiment and environment that we're currently in. So that's the NASDAQ. Quick look at the VIX here. We do see that there's a contraction within the VIX. It'd be nice if we were going to continue the risk on sentiment to drop below 23, like we had in previous times here, where we just slowly fade and move to the downside. That would be great to see. If we do break the key level of descending resistance as well as the horizontal level of sensitivity, that would be the market structure. So if we break both those, we could get a spike up, and that would obviously be in confluence with the S&P dropping quite substantially as well. So ideally, we would see the VIX continue to move to the downside, but if we do see the S&P actually break this series of higher lows and hold this key level of resistance and move to the downside, especially breaking 3200, if the S&P does break 3200, I would expect the VIX to break around 32-ish. And that could possibly create a huge move to the upside because volatility spikes quite aggressively when the S&P falls quite quickly. The VIX moves quite quickly when the S&P falls, very, very aggressively. We saw it went from 32 to 41 in a matter of, let's say, a couple hours here. So, or let's say two handfuls of hours. Let's say 8 to 12 hours. So pretty quick. We don't see that right now. So the overall direction is, I think, bullish for risk on assets, but the VIX is still something pretty important to be looking at. All right, so quick look at the global equities. I think we're first going to be looking at the TikTok comments because there are some TikTok comments that have come in. So I'll take a quick look at that, and then we'll get right into the global equities here, or global indexes. All right. What did happen to Bitcoin? How did it blow such? I don't exactly know. I assume you mean, why is Bitcoin moving to the upside? That's probably what you mean. Well, I can give you some information regarding the technicals, but in terms of just fundamentals, why are people buying it? I think it's two main reasons. One, monetary uncertainty. Central banks are printing a lot of money, right? Very well understood. Inflation is inevitable. We saw the last time we had this aggressive of a monetary expansion was in the late 40s, 50s, and 60s, were when interest rates were at like 2% federal funds rate. I'm talking about when I'm talking about interest rates. Very, very easy to borrow money, very cheap, easy money available within the economy. So that created a bubble, right? So then we saw the 60s have decent CPI numbers, inflation, and in the 70s, especially the late 70s, we had exponential CPI numbers, exponential inflation, and that's not good. and we saw things that are risk on assets like the Dow Jones fall substantially, inflation adjusted, right? Because there's high inflation, you have to adjust for inflation. But the Dow Jones fell substantially during the 70s, especially the late 70s, whereas things that were fixed supply assets like gold and silver did extremely well. That's because when there's monetary uncertainty, people run to fixed supply assets like precious metals. But what's interesting now is there's a new kid on the block. There's a new technology called blockchain that enables you to basically buy digital real estate. There's a finite amount of BTC available to buy that will ever be produced. It's not like gold and silver where we can go on an asteroid and mine it. There's literally only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and there's going to be less because people lose it. People send it to wrong addresses. People have computers that they threw out that had Bitcoin on them in terms of the wallet. So there's going to be less than 21 million. So the fact that the US dollar is absolutely collapsing right now, losing value, and you see anti-fiats like gold and silver do really well, people are going to group Bitcoin in the same basket as gold and silver in my personal view. So we see gold and silver move to the upside, which then means that there's a high probability, if there is the chance that Bitcoin's going to be in the same basket as gold and silver, that Bitcoin's going to move as well, because there is a what you call a sympathy play in that kind of development of the two anti-fiats moving in the same direction, appreciating, compared to the US dollar that is depreciating because there is a proliferation of currency. So in the global macro scope, that is the reason, in my opinion, why BTC is doing well. Hopefully that answers your question. BTC pausing, then heading back up to 12K this week, like I predicted a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we'll see exactly where it's going to go. Best of luck to you on that call. What's your opinion about the banks allowing people to store crypto? I would say if it's not your keys, it's not your coins. I would only really store long-term investments in crypto using my own personal ledger, and I will not allow anyone to know what my seed codes or seed phrases, seed words are. And that is the only way that I would invest. I would not let banks hold on to my crypto. I would not invest through Robinhood. I would not invest through just holding it on an exchange. Yes, I have capital on an exchange because I like to trade, swing trade. But in terms of investments, dollar cost averaging, I would say the best way to dollar cost average is find a hardware wallet. You could even use a paper wallet in order to slowly accumulate crypto in a safe storage location. What did happen to Bitcoin? How did it blow? So yeah, I hopefully answered your question here. Gold all-time high. Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to see more of a positive correlation between gold and BTC. We can actually see right now the difference in correlation. So let me get my correlation chart here. Give me one moment. So let's look at the correlation between Bitcoin and gold, because right now we're actually going surprisingly a little bit negative initially. Let's go to the 90-day. So on the 90-day chart, we are seeing some increase in correlation between Bitcoin and gold, which is a good thing. You want to see positive correlation like we saw here. There's not a whole lot of positive correlation between Bitcoin and gold, but that is the ideal scenario. And then you want to see a negative correlation between the S&P and gold ideally, whereas we're not really seeing that right now, because right now we're seeing still a positive correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P, and still a negative correlation between Bitcoin and gold. But things are looking like they're shifting. We want gold and Bitcoin to be in the same grouping, because that means that people are looking at crypto as a means to store their value in times of monetary uncertainty. Is that TOS? This is TradingView. It's a charting platform I use. I think it's by far the best charting platform available. And for exchanges, I use Interactive Brokers, CMC Markets for the global macro. I'll use Binance, Bybit for my crypto trading. What will happen with Ethereum? I think it'll go up. Very simple. US cashless society coming this year. I don't know how quick it's going to come. I do think that it is inevitable with the digital world that we're living in today, as well as COVID. People don't like using cash. The Fed, the Chinese central bank are already aggressively pushing to try to implement a central bank digital currency. So I do think that there is a push for digitizing the kind of monetary system that we currently have. And I don't think it's a positive thing, to be completely honest. Yes, there is adoption, but if you're looking for security and privacy and anonymity, basically, if you have a private ledger that can see every single transaction done in, let's say, digital Canadian dollars or digital US dollars, they can know every single transaction that you've done. So if you're selling something on Facebook, if you're buying something, any single transaction, no matter how small, they can actually look at it, they can tax you on it. Depending on how you look at it, it could be a positive, negative thing. But if the central banks are going to implement central bank digital currencies, I do think that there's going to be a rise and demand for privacy tokens like Monero, in my personal belief. Just going to be looking at my alts that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. All right. The Dirty Librarian. How high can gold and silver go? Well, I think quite a bit higher than we are now. So let me give you a quick example. In the start of the 70s, gold was at like $250 or something along the lines of that. Late 60s, early 70s, gold was at like $250, $240. By 1980, gold was at like $2,000. And silver more than 10x due to the easy money environment of the late 40s, 50s, and into the 60s, and late 60s was really bad, and then 70s was the decade of increasing inflation and really, really solid opportunities in fixed supply assets. So if you're going to ask me how high can gold and silver go, I think a lot higher than what we're seeing right now, because you got to ask yourself, how much money were we printing in the 40s and 50s? A lot. How much are we printing now? More than the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they had 2% interest rates. Now we have 0, as well as the global central banks are at negative or basically 0. So there's a lot of easy money. There's a lot of credit expansion. There's a lot of zombie companies. There's a lot of companies that are just barely able to pay off the interest, let alone not even pay off the principal. So I think that there's a pretty significant bubble because of the easy money, and I think that gold and silver will be a huge, huge play in the next handful of years. So I think it's going to go a lot higher. I think this is just the start of the metal market bull run, because a lot of people do not know anything about gold and silver and have no idea of its intrinsic value and the ability for them to hold their wealth over a long period of time, because we've been in a bear market for 7 years. Gold hasn't really done much since 2011, and then in the fall of 2019 it broke out of 1400, and that's when it really started to rally. And silver only recently broke out of its long-term consolidation that it's been in for 7 years. So silver has a lot more to gold. It has a lot of catching up to do, but I do think that gold and silver are both going to be continuing its move to the upside for the next 2020 for sure, in my opinion. There's going to be pullbacks, there's going to be consolidations, and that's what we're looking for, because we're looking for continuation patterns to add to our positions. So longer term, I'm bullish. Shorter term, I'm bullish. I'm a huge bull in metals. Loaded up on APT. Target is at 100. I don't know what APT is. You cut out. Can you repeat, please? I do not know what I cut out, so unfortunately I'm not going to repeat everything I said. Ethereum leading the market and heading to 460 in August. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just looking for continuation patterns. I definitely think that it's still going to be bullish. I very much agree with that, but I don't know. I'm not the one to set way beyond targets. I just trade the structure, trade to take profit, let it run for as long as it allows me to take the profit, and then just hold it from there. And then in my investments, it's going to be another couple of years, I think, before we really start to reap the rewards of dollar cost averaging through the bear markets. So, not going to go on the TikTok. I'm going to quickly look at the global macro here in terms of the equities. German market index is pulling back, retesting the previous resistance as a new level of support. Good to see. UK's FTSE 100 is just consolidating. Vanguard is holding the support from the previous resistance, testing the high at around 79. So it's just consolidating. Definitely in line with the overall sentiment, and then the Japanese stock market index is looking a little bit better. It did look a little bit weak after we got a break of this ascending zone, but it does look like it's holding the previous low right there, so it's just consolidating and not really doing a whole lot. We do see a consolidation in the SPX and the NASDAQ and the Russell 2000, so it makes sense. We start seeing these equities break their consolidation like we saw within the DAX. That would definitely mean that we're going to potentially create a further upside move and to further have exposure and risk on assets. So, in short, we're going to continue the trend in very, very short. All right, so quick look at the US dollar. So the fact that we broke below 94, why are we looking at 94? If we are going to the monthly chart, we do see very, very strong level. Initially, it was 94.63, and then we saw support back here. We saw support back here, and if we're really zooming out, we did see supports all along here. So we don't see a complete candle closure, but we are moving faster and faster to the downside. So I'm just going short US dollar, weakening of the US dollar, which is really good for gold, silver, crypto, and that's where I am focusing my efforts in my personal opinion. In terms of potential levels of support, I don't know. That's pretty far away. I think I'd rather just look at the shorter time frames and just look to see if there is demand coming in. Because we can see, yes, there is some support zone. So if we go to the monthly to really understand where the next zones are, we see another one right here. Wick, candle closure, resistance right there. So that's another potential zone. And we also see this zone right around here. Because we see candle closures, we see wick closures. Could probably go like this as well. Like that. So next zone's around 93. Next zone's around 91 in terms of the weekly. Let's go to the daily and zoom out on that too. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's now go into the smaller time frames to the 4 hour and just take all this off. Kind of start from a fresh chart because just kept on falling, went more and more aggressive. So we know that this is a very strong zone. If it comes up and holds there, could be just a candle to the downside on the weekly or 2-day. We do want to take that into account. And then we're just going to draw some descending zones to see if we can get any nice structures to hold for this descending zone. So I think I'm going to go there because we see 1, 2, 3. We could get more aggressive with it. Like we could go here and like that. So we could go aggressive with it. Why not? Let's just go here. Doesn't mean that we're going to long right if it breaks this, but it gives us an indication if the buyers are weakening still, or if they're trying to get up, if they're trying to rally and find a support zone. Because right now we do not see that at all. We see the dollar weakening. Not many people are interested in injecting capital in the dollar. There's a lot of people that are looking for risk on exposure, that are looking for risky trades, which is definitely a bullish sentiment, which is what we're in right now. So these are the two trend lines that I see. We did see a nice descending support zone that did fall below. So right now, I'm just viewing the US dollar in a downtrend. I'm looking for shorts on the US dollar. I'm looking for dollar weakness. And I'm not going to change my bias on the dollar until we see something very aggressive happen. Like we can see right here, we got a very, very aggressive move to the downside, like so. And then what you're looking for is a change in structure, sort of like this. So you see this high get rejected right there, and then you see a new resistance turn into support. Yes, it came back down here, and then it held that next high. But overall, you do see a shift in structure, and that's where you might want to be looking for a possible hesitation. But then obviously, because of the trend, you'd be just looking for ascending zones that would break again to the downside. So what we're looking for, let's take a picture to have a good understanding of what we're doing. If it breaks this zone, it doesn't mean that we're looking for longs at all. All it means is that we have a potential shift in structure from a downtrend to then a consolidation. A consolidation could mean a little move to the upside. This is where we have our ascending wedges, our ascending triangles, our consolidation sideways, and then a move down and then a retest and a move back to carry the momentum to the downside. So that's what we're looking for, right? We're not looking for a move to the upside yet. That's very, very risky in my opinion. We want to continue the trend, but what we can ideally see is something like this, right? We want to see these nice structures. So then what we're looking for is something like that. So ideally, in a perfect world, we want to see the price go like this, break a couple of these descending zones to indicate that we are now changing the structure. We don't want to look for longs because the momentum and global macro sentiment is definitely to the downside. We have to understand that. Now, if there's a massive bullish candle like that, that obviously would be a little bit different. And then if we break some major significant zones, like if we broke the 95, that would definitely mean that we could be using that zone as a new level of support. But as long as it's kind of carrying its aggressive push, nice rollover, aggressive push, nice rollover, aggressive push, we could be looking for something along the lines of that. So in terms of the dollar weakness, I'm still looking for it to continue, but it's just in the impulse push to the down right now. So I want to make sure that we're trying to get the best possible outcome for our trades. It looks a little bit overextended. If you are looking for further dollar weakness, I think a retest of around the 94 zone could be good for the DXY. But overall momentum is obviously to the downside. So I'm going to heavily respect that. So that's going to be my view of it. We made some good we captured some good opportunities for dollar weakness, but at this point, I think it's getting a little bit extended or overextended to a point that I want to see some corrections. I want to see a pullback so then it's able to recharge and push to the downside. Wow, that was rude. Says, hey man, I need help. Curious on what you need help with. Definitely may not be able to help you on everything, but if you give me a quick question, I may be of assistance. So it does not hurt to ask. So that's a little bit of discussion on the US dollar. Quick discussion now on the FX market, just so we have a good understanding of global risk sentiment and global capital flows basically in the currency market, which is a huge market. So first things first, if we're understanding that this is a risk on environment, we should be seeing things that are risk on currencies move to the upside and risk off currencies move to the downside. Now what I've noticed is Euro is acting more like a risk on currency when the risk on environment is present and less of a risk off currency. When there is a move to the downside, Euro actually goes down, but when there is a risk on environment, Euro actually gets a lot of bid, even more than some of the other risk on currencies, like for example the Canadian dollar that has not been doing nearly as well compared to things like GBP. Australian dollar has been doing decently well, but is falling behind a little bit. So when we actually look at this, it's a little bit odd because the European risk off currencies like Swiss franc and euro are doing the best. Little bit surprising, but that is the current market. What's been doing the worst is definitely USD and JPY. What's this right here? At the very bottom, USD, right? And then JPY is not here because it is going to be everything that we're pairing against. So but they're very well correlated, USD and JPY. So we see USD and JPY, which are the extreme risk off, do the worst. They're not getting any bids, meaning that capital is flowing into more speculative currencies. A little bit surprising that it's Euro and CHF, but yeah, Euro is really taking the lead here. The next one up, if we're looking back in, let's say, early July, so basically like 3 weeks in, is going to be the Australian dollar, which has done better than a lot of these other risk-on currencies, so it makes sense. But Euro is just very, very strong right now compared to basically every other currency. So in a perfect world, if this is going to continue, I think a really good pairing situation would be Euro against USD or Euro against JPY. That would be the best relative strength pairing that I personally think has the highest potential to continue towards the upside. If you're looking for more of a traditional pairing where you're just doing risk on versus risk off, and you're not pairing off versus off or on versus on, that would mean that you're pairing only risk on versus risk off or off versus on, then I would use Australian dollar by U or J, so like AU or AJ. So Australian dollar versus USD, or Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. I think those would be pretty good opportunities. But euro is really, really taking the lead for the currency that's getting the most bid as of now. Quick discussion on that. All right, so like I said before, unfortunately did not get an entry on silver because it was the Sunday night at, let's say, 6, 7. I was eating some dinner. I was not on the computer, and then by the time I was looking at a computer, it was way above. It would have been nice to get a possible retest maybe at like $23, but if it comes back, it's a possibility, but you're not going to catch them all, especially if you're trading in a 24-hour market or 24/5 market. That's just pretty well impossible. Or you just have zero life. You're not doing anything other than staring at a chart or staring on your phone for, let's say, 19 hours of the day if you're waking up at the middle of the night to get entries as well. I've done that. It's not fun. It's really unhealthy. You lose a lot of happiness, let's say. It's not really worth it. So I'll take not entering this for a little bit more happiness. So fortunate that we couldn't get an entry because I think it's still going to go towards the upside. We are really looking at a smaller entry here. We do see it is forming higher highs and higher lows, although I don't really see a structure worth trading here. It'd be nice if we're able to get like something like this. That would be nice. On a 15-minute chart, but I don't really see anything that gives me an edge in trading the markets right now. So silver's a no-go for me. It'd be nice to entry here. What I would have done is definitely put a stop loss above this retest candle, so my entry would have been right around here, and the stop loss would have been below that previous low, or if I'm being a little bit more conservative, that low. So that's basically how I structured the entry. Stop entry above the retest candle high, or low if I'm short, so that would have been a really, really awesome zero drawdown entry. So fortunately, did not play out, but that is how it goes sometimes. Also, quickly looking at gold, it is still moving towards the upside. This ascending zone broke to the upside, hit the high right there, or the target of gold at around 1935. We do see the weekly candle close higher than any other time on this chart. So if we're really zooming back, we do see that it hit all-time highs here on this chart, and it's closing higher than any other period. So obviously, extremely bullish. At this point, I just look for pullback, continuation patterns. Just looking at gold. And that's about it. We do see gold has a little bit better of a structure, where we see a nice high base forming, where we see this current level of support hold, and then we see a resistance right here. So right now, this is considered a high base, where it's failing to make a higher high, but failing to make a lower low. It's just an equilibrium between the buyers and sellers, and once we see the price break and retest the previous resistance as a new level of support, we could then look for continuation patterns to the upside in my personal views. So, like again, I'm bullish on gold and silver, but I'm not going to randomly enter. I want to have a very well-respected structure before I look to gain any further exposure on gold and silver, and I don't see that right now, so I'm not going to be looking to enter, although we do see some nice descending trend lines creating lower highs. So if we do get something like this, where we're able to get a descending zone connecting the lower highs, and then you see a squeeze towards the apex, that would be a structure I'd be looking to trade, because then you could be creating a descending triangle, which is a good solid structure for continuation. But that's basically the first option. You could be holding something like this, like an ascending zone like there, and that would be an ascending triangle formation, which would be good for continuation as well. So it's definitely still too early to be looking for a structure, but I am looking for continuation patterns, because I do think that gold and silver are going to further move towards the upside. Gold and silver ratio is still moving to the downside, broke that key level. We don't really see it stop moving to the downside, so further continuation in my view of silver. So I think that that's going to be the place to be. Gold and silver is going to be the place to be. Yes, crypto, but definitely if you're not trading gold and silver, and if you trade, definitely look at ETFs, single stocks, CDFs, or CFDs, sorry, contract for differences, as well as futures. Whatever you are looking for, I would be looking at gold and silver, in my personal view. So I'll keep this right there because I do think that the S&P is going to be a pretty important thing to be looking at for the next upcoming week here. And we're now going to be looking at some crypto here. So quick look at the correlation. We already talked about this, but we do see a decreasing amount of correlation between BTC and the SPX. Not a whole lot, but we are making lower lows and lower highs, with the correlation within the last 9 days being around 0.17. So 17% correlated between the S&P and the Bitcoin price action. So something to note. Still positively correlated. All right, going to get a little bit of coffee, water, and then we'll go on to the crypto market update here. Actually, what I'm going to do is close it here because I like to split it off. Videos taking seemingly too long. People are saying that they don't watch it because it's like an hour, hour and a half every single day. So we're going to make a separate video for the crypto market update, but that was a global macro update. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section below, and we will answer it. And for people who would like to get more of these updates, and for people who thought this was useful, it'd be great if you would subscribe. It does help us out and helps our channel grow. And if you like it, it shows that we should be making more videos like this. So thank you for watching. We will do a crypto market update very shortly. Until next time, have a good one, traders. All right, so that was a global macro update. I just basically stopped the recording because I will keep the TikTok recording on because we're going to do our crypto market update very shortly. I just want to separate the videos because I want to grow the YouTube, and it's basically completely stagnant. It's like our YouTube channel is like the stock market from the early 60s until, let's say, the late 70s. No, let's say 67 until 69. Completely stagnant. It's like gold from 2012 to 2018. That's how our current YouTube channel is. So we're trying to find ways to make it more approachable, make it more enjoyable to watch, whatever the case may be, because we are definitely not growing for our YouTube channel as of right now. It's July 27th, 2020. Oh, it's unlisted. Oops, that's why no one's watching it. Okay. So I'm going to be pausing here for a little bit and just not talking because I do have to post this video. So, yeah, for anyone who has questions, definitely drop them in, but I do have to make this video for the global macro update, and then we'll continue with the crypto market. BNB actually doesn't look bad. All right, let's see what the crypto market is doing. So Bitcoin just blew through 10.7, 10.8. BNB is holding. Support, previous resistance, good to see, good to see. We did break a descending zone as well as a descending resistance. So I'd like to see the break of the previous retest high. Josh says, I use TD sequential and BB, so Bollinger Bands. That's pretty solid. I don't really use Bollinger Bands. I mainly just use market structure. I do use volume, and I use price action structures. The main things I trade are basically wedges, triangles, and bases, so high base or low base. And I just continue with the trend. I don't try to counter trend trade. If it's a really structured counter trend opportunity, like a solid reverse head and shoulders with a break of the neckline and then a retest with a descending zone, squeezing the price from a descending zone and a horizontal level of demand, if it's like a really well-respected structure, then I'll definitely trade a reversal, but I do like to trend trade for sure. So everyone has their different ways. I personally don't really use indicators too much. I'll sometimes use moving averages. If I'm trying to be more systematic, like if you're backtesting a system and you want it to be as systematic as possible, you would use potentially moving averages to potentially take profit, or you say, I'm not going to enter if it's below a 50-day, just so you have more, or you have less variables and you have more structured criteria for your trade, so it makes it more repeatable. So then if you backtest it and if you get an amount, if you get a certain statistic coming out of it, win, loss, risk, reward, that's actually dependable in live markets. Whereas if you're just going off a gut feeling, it's pretty hard to like repeat that in a way, because you just feel like it's a good trade and there's no real systematic criteria that led you to the point of being a profitable trader month over month. So having a criteria is very important. User says BTC to the moon. I do agree. It's doing very, very well. All right, so let's get the recording here. Delete a little bit and then download it onto my computer. So, I do not want to do this here maybe. I'm just going to move this over here for now, and hopefully this does not. Okay, cool. And then I'll go on Canva. RJ, KNC, which we're actually looking at as well. Which is right here. Kyber Network is dropping. Kyber Network is dropping like a rock after Binance future listing. We were looking at it. It looked pretty promising initially because it was absolutely ballooning, but you know, it is holding the $1.30 mark, which is a key previous level of resistance. And then if we're just doing a little bit of analysis on it, we do expect alts to run if BTC is going to continue its rally, which it seems like it is. So I do think that there will be an altcoin run. It's just a matter of sort of when, because if BTC is moving to the upside, people are making money, there's going to be more speculation. And altcoins do well in environments where there is increased speculation in the market. So right now, we're definitely getting a pretty aggressive move to the downside. We do see a nice wedge that melted down. Let's get our zone like this. So let's go to the 2 hour. Melted to the downside. Could be looking for a reversal here after the highest amount of confirmation possible, breaking all the zones that we need in order for us to look for an opportunity. So it's kind of like this right here, where you got a descending zone. It initially broke. So let's go replay from here. So on this structure, initially it looked really solid for a descending zone like so. Let's get this off. Let's get this off. Initially, it was a descending zone like that. It failed at this low, or at this high right there. And if we play it a little bit more, you know, there's no real opportunity to get a retest there. That's where I'd be looking for a retest, right there. All right, so in that circumstance, I wouldn't have got an entry because there's no retest, there's no validation. I can very well easily say that maybe on the 1 hour, I need to look for a retest. I wasn't looking on that, but right there, there's no retest validating it, I would not enter. Simple as that. So then if we're looking at the current market, kind of similar, I need to see a retest. So let's get that there. Find the horizontal zone. Let's say right around there. So $1.50 would need to crack before I even look at Kyber Network. But we are nearing or at a strong level of support. So it could start reversing here. But yeah, definitely way too early. Total crypto market cap is resting around 315 billion, 2-week candle of June 19th. Good job in knowing the altcoin market. Our total crypto market. Okay, so I mainly look at the chart of BTC and then the altcoin market cap. So that's Kyber Network. That's Ethereum. I'm mainly looking at Ethereum, so let's bring that back down. And then let's quickly look at the total too. Very similar. It's just resting, pulling back because BTC is just so aggressive. But some alts are doing well. We do see a resistance at the previous high right here that it's holding below right there. Something to keep in mind. And then we see some well structured zones as we're going up here. But overall, bullishness within the altcoin market. So we are looking for longs. And let's just see the overall structures of our different opportunities we're looking at here. Yeah, BNB isn't as beautiful of a chart. Cardano looks awesome. Still a little bit too early, but man, Chainlink looks awesome. VeChain looks awesome. Binance Coin looks the most ready, but it doesn't look the best. I want the best. And it's not really providing that for me just yet. I'd like to see a little bit more clear of a descending trend line like we saw on VeChain or Chainlink. Those are really, really spectacular. So BNB is an opportunity. If we are looking at the larger time frames, the around $18, $19 zone is very, very well respected, which we do have to take into consideration. So we do see this nice ascending triangle with a retest of the $18, $19 zone. So we see it was kind of mooning with a nice rounding top with a key level of resistance right here. We see very well respected zone throughout the chart, and we broke it, right? So now we are shifting in market structure on a large time frame. But this is the main zone that we needed to pass for BNB. So the fact that we are now moving to the upside definitely suggests that we should be looking for continuation patterns on the daily. No real descending zones. The main zone that I want to be looking at is this structure right here, because we were in a consolidation for a while right around here, right where we're failing to make a lower low, failing to make a higher high. We made a higher high, and now we are retesting the previous resistance that we hit right here for a new level of support. And this is a nice ascending triangle formation with a nice valid retest at that 1875 zone. And then zooming in, we're looking for contractions and volatility, squeezing the price along the key level of demand right around here. And we're looking for the next impulsive push to the upside, which it does look like it could be hitting. So this previous resistance right here, if we do look back at the previous time frames, resistance, and is currently holding for a nice new level of support. So what we would be looking for a possible entry, if you are looking for an entry, would be either a stop entry above this retest candle. If you're looking for a little bit aggressiveness, you'd be looking for a stop entry above this retest candle, and then your stop loss could be here. Or if you're going here, your stop loss could be below the low right here, just so the momentum kicks you in when it does inevitably move to the upside, if it does. So that's going to be my personal potential opportunity for BNB, and then that could be the next structure that you'd be looking to see the price hold, kind of like this, where you see initial break, retest, and then a move up, and then a retest, and then a continuation up. So you're wanting to have, in my opinion, at least a little bit of room for that to create in a structure towards the upside. So that's going to be the only opportunity for an alt that I see right now. That's like the closest to entering. Ethereum is definitely still too early to be entering in my personal view. And the rest of these alts definitely are still too early in my opinion. So we'll do the crypto market update very shortly. Brian says, hey, what do you reckon with Theta? I'm heavy in it since this morning. We can take a quick look. So let's go, let's not do this one. Let's do this one because we have a couple that we're not really using. So let's do Zcash. Let's do SPX or SXP. So, oops, Theta USDT. And let's go on the daily. Okay, so it's basing, so that's good. And what I mean by that, we got a nice basing pattern where you initially see some lower highs and higher lows. This is similar to a lot of different lows. Gold did this. It took 5 years, but gold did the same thing. Massive blow off top, nice rounding bottom with a horizontal zone of resistance on the weekly. Not really showing anything I like. I wish this was a wick, so then we can draw our structural zone right here. Maybe like that. That would have been a really nice structural zone. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So what do I mean? We see resistance, resistance, resistance. It would have been nice to see a wick here and then a resistance, and then this is the bottoming. So then you're looking for a break and retest of that zone. But the fact that we got a candle closure at 0.28, definitely I would then raise my base, or where I would classify it as a breakout, to around right there. So we can see that the price label right there, that's the for sure breakout zone, the 28.27 or 28.28, 28.28, and then 25.87 is going to be the point where we could be looking for possible feeler trades if we wanted to, but the main zone that we're looking to break is going to be the 28.28 zone. So we'll get an ascending zone right here. Maybe move that up just like so. I know you entered this morning, but I like to know what happened on the larger time frames because it gives context to what's happening right now. Oh, nope. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got that. Are you from Canada? Yes, I am from Canada. I am living in the west coast of Canada. Raised here all my life. Very, very beautiful. I love Canada quite a bit. Do you want to view it? No. And then I'm just going to post the other one on YouTube. So we're posting the previous global macro update right here. Go to the desktop. Performante videos, YouTube videos, and it was the global macro update. Cool. So let's dive again into Theta. We got some nice horizontal zones. You did get some nice descending zones that we're able to break, but right now I don't really see any that are particularly nice. See that zone. Let's tighten it up a little bit just so, like that. You see support turn, resistance, resistance. Like that. Oops, wrong one. Looking for that to turn red. And then this. Let's just, sorry everyone, this is taking a little longer, but I like to color my things just so students know what support is and what resistance is, because I got a request and it usually helps the people who are watching. All right, so we're near key level of ascending support. That's good for your long. We're also near a horizontal level of support, which is also good for your long. So is that white? Nope. Let's get that white. So that's pretty good overall. It's still contracting on a large time frame, so I don't think the best point of entry would definitely be somewhere breaking the zone, like somewhere there. That would be a really good opportunity, but you know, you're near support, so that's really good. We can tighten that up a little bit, just like so. This morning, yeah, I would say I personally would not enter there, but if you entered this morning, you're probably looking pretty good, to be completely honest. Potentially nearing a possible zone. Like I said, I want to see 3 validations of a zone before I even use it, so this is only 2. I don't really see 1/3 yet, so that could be a potential level in confluence with this zone, this little resistance right here. But you could form a reverse head and shoulders if you see that. So let's get the, where is it? Head and shoulders right here. So this is the left shoulder head. You're coming back up to the neckline. And then if it makes that low, that's not going to go below the left shoulder at around 0.236. That could be an opportunity for a reversal pattern. Don't know exactly when you entered, but that would be an opportunity, in my opinion, for a long, or to continue holding. So that's my view of Theta. All right, so let's look at some TikTok comments while I'm gonna get the thing going here. What did happen to Bitcoin? How did it blow such? Definitely look back in the video. I specifically said exactly why earlier on, so just go back to the previous recording and you can find your answer there. Let's just go back to Ethereum, which is right there. And Cardano's looking a little bit better. Okay, so let's do okay. Gotta find a good picture for the background. Let's do all right. Okay. That's not a very good picture. What picture would be good for this Canva? Trying to find a good picture of gold or silver. I'm gonna have to live with that. Okay. Let's actually bring that. And let's bring that. All right, so get that there. Okay. All right. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer than what many people expect to actually make these. That is for sure. Um, let's just change that into red. Okay, SPX is moving to the upside. That's good to see. That's definitely a risk on. Ethereum looks decent for a possible move to the upside. BNB I'm still waiting for. Which is, let's say, 3%. Okay, I'm unfortunately gonna have to do some math here. Give me one moment. Okay, so okay. Seven, 9, 5, 7, 8, 5 to 7, 8, 5. Coordinate 7, 8, 5. 19.8. Okay. Binance coin. Let's look. Right in the middle of the pack. Not super strong. But that's what's nice about stop entries, is you only get triggered once the momentum starts kicking in. But I got that ready to go, so that will be a little bit later on. And this is the, whatchamacallit, thumbnail for the global macro for today. So I had to make that. Videos, YouTube videos, let's do that one. Let's just do that one. And then I can go here, go here. And then let's go to, nope, Monte videos, description. There we go. It's just a global macro because we are going to be doing our crypto and it's in public. Cool. Okay, so that is complete. So that's uploading right now. And we can now then go to our next video for today, which is going to be the crypto market update. So I'm going to need a little bit of water. And we'll just jump right into the crypto market update, basically just talking about BTC, alts, and the whole kind of crypto sphere, basically. A lot of movement, so there's a lot to talk about. But something to know, a lot of people aren't looking at this, but the fact that we actually haven't broke the high on a lot of these major currencies other than the USD, because USD is extremely weak right now compared to basically every other currency other than Japanese yen. Do you think BTC is going to get to 12K? Totally depends on what time span you're looking at. It totally depends on what time span you're looking at to give you an answer. But in short, yes, I do think that it'll hit 12K. But I would not enter BTC right now if I were you. I personally would not do that. You're way late to the game if you wanted to enter on this impulsive move. It just makes sense to look for continuation at this point, instead of trying to look for FOMOing into a pump that's already been taking place. My personal belief. I just don't think that the risk reward at these levels are favorable. Personally. But that's just me. I think I'd rather wait, be patient, look for a better entry, and then when it provides it, you're ready to go. All right, well, let's get this started here. That's uploading. We're going to get rid of that. I'm just kind of taking away some stuff here, and then we'll get right to it. Okay, cool. N, are they free? Not sure what you mean by that. So if you can explain further, that would be great. All right. Hey everyone, welcome to a crypto market update. If you're interested in the global macro side of things, definitely check out the previous video that we uploaded where we talk about all things global macro. But in this video, we're specifically going to be looking at the crypto market. So we're first going to be looking at BTC, and then we'll be looking at some tools to understand the altcoin market. And then we're going to dive into the altcoins that are actually a possible trade that we're going to be looking at after looking at the relative strength and weakness of those particular projects or coins. So first thing we want to look at is just a quick understanding of where Bitcoin is in relation to the past consolidation that we've been in for many weeks and really a couple of months here. And this is that consolidation we started back in early May of 2020, right? You can see all of these different charts are based on different currencies that we're comparing Bitcoin with. We see top right is going to be Euro, bottom right is the Japanese yen, left bottom is going to be the Australian dollar, and then we see USD or US Tether on the top left-hand corner, which is what we're always comparing Bitcoin with. But what's interesting is when you compare Bitcoin with other currencies, right? Because we do know that there are other currencies in the world that people use. And we can see, let's just close that. Bitcoin versus Australian dollar. We have not broken above the May high. Euro, we have not broken above the May high. Japanese yen, we have broken above that high right there, right? But we haven't broken above this high. So we can see against the USD, against the Japanese yen, we have broken the major structural resistance that we need to see break in order for us to call a breakout on Bitcoin. But we don't see that on Euro and Australian dollar, right? And why is that? It's because we see Euro and Australian dollar stronger than the US dollar right now by a substantial amount. So it's good to get an understanding of what Bitcoin is doing, not just with the United States dollar, but with other currencies. So I'm definitely calling a breakout on BTC at this point. I was still a little bit hesitant just because we haven't broken above the 10.1, let's say 10K zone on BTC. But once we saw a break above the 10K zone and we see it hold, that's my cue to say, all right, things are changing. There is a shift in the equilibrium between the buyers and sellers, and the buyers are definitely winning. We don't see much interest in alts yet, other than Ethereum. Ethereum is the only alt that is doing well right now. A little bit surprising. But I think the alts will come a little bit later, where capital is funneling from alts, from USDT, from other stable coins, into BTC. So BTC is where all the inflows are occurring right now. And I think later on, once BTC appreciates, there's going to be speculation, more speculation in the markets, which will then funnel capital from BTC into alts. That's going to be my speculation. So right now, we see a breakout, and we see that it's really broken above the major 10.2 around key level of resistance. So really key structural break for BTC with some volume coming along with it, which is great to see. But something to note before we dive into the smaller price action here, we don't see much of an increase in volatility. We see the last times we had extremely low volatile times where we had November of 2018 as well as March of 2019. We saw a massive explosion and an expansion in volatility. We don't see that just yet. I think from what it looks like right now with where gold's going, with where silver's going, with the overall global market shifting to or continuing its risk on sentiment, it did have a little bit of a dip down, but the buyers, the bulls, are still keeping it trending to the upside for risk on assets. I think that Bitcoin is going to continue to the upside and alts are going to follow. So what this means is volatility, when it starts to expand, if our thesis is correct, will move to the upside, and it's going to be expanding in volatility, which is extremely bullish. So it could be here. The big bull run that everyone is talking about definitely could be here. We see a decrease in volatility. That's great to see, right? You see a contraction in price action. You see an initial push to the upside. If you see the 10.4, 10.5 hold, let's go back to the price action. If you see 10.5-ish hold, and then we see a nice little retest and a continuation, yeah, we definitely are in a point where we're going to be looking for to hold these like 2-3x leverage longs for months, right? Because we know when we're in a parabolic state, we're seeing an acceleration of series of higher highs and higher lows. You can continuously keep the stop loss holding market structure, because the market structure should be creating a series of higher highs and higher lows, holding supports, breaking resistances. So we're at that point that we could be making a strong parabolic move here, like we saw at 2017, like we saw in the start of 2019, after this nice consolidation phase. So that is the speculation, and we're going to be looking for continuation patterns in Bitcoin as well as Ethereum and other alts. All right, so that's going to be the larger time frames. Let's now go into the smaller time frames. Not a whole lot to discuss on BTC. It just freshly broke out of the 10.3K zone. So all I want to see it do is hold. If we see it hold, that's extremely bullish for BTC. Because last time, we could not hold above 10K. Right here, we could not hold. We got slammed right back down. But now with this next move, it does look like we're able to hold. So like I said, I'd say it's a little late at this point. What you'd be looking for, if you're looking for continuation, is possibly something like this. So let's get this. That did not click. It's not really clicking. I'm not sure why. Let's please work. Awesome. So you're looking for something like this, right? You got a very aggressive move to the upside, but you're looking for continuation. You're looking for consolidation. Something like that, right? That would be, in my opinion, the perfect situation for BTC, where you get this previous key level of resistance acting as a strong new level of support. And you could draw in a descending zone like this, connecting the lower highs. You can get a retest from this zone of confluence, previous resistance turned to support. Something along the lines of that. So that would be the next opportunity for BTC in my personal view. I think it's a little bit late now for an entry. You want to see a correction. You want to see the market take a breath before you look to really take an entry, in my opinion, for BTC. So just had a massive move. It'd be nice to see a little pullback and to recharge for the next big breakout for BTC. So that's what we're going to be looking for BTC. And hopefully the contraction furthers, and then that next push is going to be something like this, or something like this, where we're seeing the expansion and volatility. We have not seen that yet. Quick look at the total too, the total altcoin market cap. We are at a key level of resistance at around 114 billion, although we did already pierce that zone, so it's on an uptrend. Structurally, it's making pretty strong moves, although recently we've seen a lot of volatility, which is, if you're looking for alts, is a good indication to some degree, but it's a little bit contradicting what we see within the BTC dominance, where Bitcoin dominance is actually moving to the upside, meaning there is capital flowing from alts into BTC, and usually that happens when there's a little bit less speculation, or when there's a huge move to the upside in BTC, where alts are going to be lagging like we saw in the spring of 2019. After we broke the $4,200 zone, it took a little bit of time for some alts to catch up to Bitcoin and to start its trend upwards. So I think that's where we're at right now, where BTC is taking a little bit of the market share, a little bit of dominance, but I do think that the alts will catch up, and we're going to see the price come back to the low here and potentially even break below 62. If it breaks below 62, that's going to be a pretty significant move to the downside for the dominance, which would mean that alts are taking more of the market share, which means that there is more speculation, which is bullish for the alts. Don't see that just yet, but that's the overall direction that I currently see within the BTC dominance. Grayscale has yet to break its resistance at around $12.20, $12.30. We do see, when we do zoom back to the larger time frames, it's at a very key structural zone of supply. So the Grayscale's GBTC has not broken out yet, but obviously that's a massive move to the upside. Big gap within the daily candle, and overall bullish close for today's trading day. So it does look really strong for BTC, as well as the stock that a lot of institutional investors use to gain exposure into BTC. So overall looking really good for the cryptocurrency market. And we can see, surprisingly, there's not many coins that are doing better than Bitcoin. This is ZEC, which is half a point lower than Bitcoin in the span of 2 days around. But we see Bitcoin really the only one that's really appreciating. Ethereum is a close second, but a lot of these altcoins are not gaining the bid volume that Bitcoin is getting. So right now, we're just seeing a huge influx of buyers within Bitcoin. I think later on, once Bitcoin is established of breaking the 10K 10.4 zone, and you see it hold a nice level of support, then I think that we could see altcoins start to run, because people who've made money on Bitcoin will start to look for altcoins for a sympathy play, because there's more speculation, there's more buy pressure, there's more hope, optimism in the cryptocurrency market. So I think that altcoins will take a turn to the upside. It's just Bitcoin's turn right now. If you didn't catch Bitcoin, no worries. I think that the altcoin run is coming. It might be lagging, but it's a potential sympathy play for the alts that we are going to be looking at right now. BNB is already an opportunity, in my personal belief, that does look decent. But like I said, VeChain and Cardano are going to be the true, really ideal technical structures that we're looking at, that are both symmetrical triangles, that did very, very well in the first move that we had, where we got an entry on Cardano that did really well, risk reward of over 4, and VeChain as well. So really great structures that we traded last time, and we're just doing the exact same thing that we did last time to get those great opportunities to come into fruition. So we don't see a whole lot of relative strength against Bitcoin right now. If we did a relative strength test, actually, this is going to be interesting. So we'll do this, and then we'll actually go on a relative strength test on here as well. So this is the 1 hour. This is the 1 hour as well. Let's make that into a line, and let's just get rid of moving averages. We don't really need them. And let's make this a little smaller, just so it's in line with all the other ones that we're going to do. And then we're going to compare, M against USDT. EOS USDT, Litecoin USDT, VeChain USDT, Algo, Atom, Kyber Network, Zcash, Ontology, Tron, Comp, Theta, BAT, Qtum, Dash, XMR, and IOTA. Cool. Okay, now we have a good understanding of what's doing well in relation to USDT, not BTC. So what's doing well? ZEC's doing well. Litecoin, surprisingly. Wow, Litecoin's doing well. BCH is doing well. ZEC's doing well. EOS is doing decent. Theta is doing decent. BNB is doing decent. So let's now check Litecoin, because that's up 7.6%. And I'll just keep my analysis on this. And keep this open. And we're looking at, not really going to be trading Theta. Well, it's looking decent. Let's do Zcash. Let's change up Zcash. And look up Litecoin. Wow, big move. But it's been pretty weak relative. Look at that. There's zero rebound. Look at where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is all the way up here, near the February highs, close to them, or breaking them, sorry. And look at where Litecoin is. So relatively speaking, Litecoin is super, super weak against some of these more stronger cryptocurrencies. So yeah, if you're looking for a retest of the $50 zone, that's a decent opportunity. But man, oh man, is Litecoin weak relative to the overall crypto market in my personal belief. Let's just take away everything and just go here to here. But if it does retest, it could be an opportunity. You got some high R-vol, which is good to see. Relative volume is looking higher, which is good, indicating that there's more eyeballs coming into the market. So that's going to be somewhat of an opportunity, but we are looking mainly at the ones that we've already identified as potential opportunities. So Ethereum is definitely on the list. And like we can see within this page, if we go here, VeChain is holding a very nice descending zone where we get a series of lower highs. We can get rid of this and just redraw it into a very nice, very precise area. So we can go like this, and that's going to be the next high that we want to see break. And then we can get our projection like so. Like so. All right, so that's going to be VeChain. It'd be nice to see a validation of this previous resistance as a new level of support. And then Link is also looking really great, but we definitely have a little bit more to do in terms of the formation of the structure. And then the high that we want to see break is around right here, 786. So right now, that's Link and VeChain. They're still looking pretty good, but it definitely still has a decent amount to go. Cardano is finally looking like it's actually going to break out of this zone here. Let's take it to the 15-minute. Yeah, I think I'm going to change this up a little bit just because you see that zone and that high. So I'm going to go like that. So that's the zone I want to see break. We're already getting a little bit of hesitation here within that zone. So that's going to be the break right around there. But yeah, if we see a nice break and retest like this, I think we're able to get a really good solid. So if we go like that, that would be that perfect opportunity. And then instead of there, you just put the high right there. But we'll see where it goes. That could be the opportunity for Cardano, but it's still not broken yet, so we are not going to put too much of our own bias onto the price action. We want to be very objective in how we view it. All right, so that's going to be basically the crypto market update here in terms of the alts that I'm going to be looking at. VeChain not ready, Link not ready, Binance Coin I would say is the most ready, because if we're looking back to the daily, we've already talked about it, break of this ascending triangle formation, retest of this ascending triangle formation, held for a new level of support, and now we're just looking for continuation to the upside. We got a huge bullish candle, bullish engulfing the previous candle on a 4-hour, so it's a very significant candle, and you got a retest of the previous high right here, validated for a new level of support. So it's looking pretty decent here, and it's holding that previous low, holding that previous high. So if we get a nice move to the upside, that could be a trending market for BNB, especially because we're looking at it from a larger time frame like so. It's very, very clear to me, at least, that this could be a continuation just because of the key level of resistance support right there, and then we see these higher lows creating a move up. So I think the momentum and aggressiveness is to the upside, and we see the overall aggressiveness get even more aggressive. So right now it's pretty mellow, and then it gets more aggressive, and I think it's going to get even more aggressive. So that's my view on BNB and the alts overall. I think that alts are going to start climbing, and I want to have exposure in the alts that are, in my opinion, showing relative strength and are showing strength compared to the rest of the altcoin market, which, like I said, is things like VeChain, Link, Cardano, Binance Coin's looking pretty good. ZEC actually looked pretty decent on the relative strength. Ethereum also is looking really strong. But Litecoin, not as much, just because of the fact that it hasn't been strong recently, whereas Ethereum has been very strong. BNB has been strong. VeChain. We're talking about like daily, 4-hour, weekly time frame. So yeah. Face outs, you there? Yes or no? Hopefully you can hear me because I'm definitely here. So that's basically going to be the video for today in terms of the crypto market update. Hopefully you got some value out of it. I do think that the market's going to continue towards the upside, so we want to be looking at alts as well as BTC, because BTC right now is taking a lot of the market share. It's really the one to be looking at right now, but I do think that in time, alts will get a bid and they will start to move to the upside here. So we're going to be looking at alts for opportunities, and we'll be making sure that the Performante Premium members are getting a good advancement of what plays that we're looking at and what we're looking at potentially entering. So definitely keep an eye out if you are a Performante Premium member within the overall Discord section that we do provide. Just looking at some questions here within the Discord. All right, so that's gonna be the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a long one. It was like an hour and 40 minutes, which is a little bit longer, but we did a global macro and then we did a crypto market. So we did both. We try to cover many different asset classes because we always like to understand the global macro aspect before we just dive into the crypto market, because it is correlated. There are things that can be taken in the traditional markets to use in the crypto markets, in my opinion. And that's what we're using right now. And that's why we're using the global macro and the crypto market update in confluence with each other. And also, we also trade in both markets, so it makes sense. Joshua says, only expecting the BTC market cap dominance to top around 66. So let's take a quick look at this. 65, 6. Yeah, I'm thinking like 65 around. Key level of support, 66, 65.8 also is a key level. So we'll see where it goes. Obviously, we're not trading it. We're looking at it just to understand the overall bullishness of the alts. But I do agree with you that there is a higher probability of holding resistances and breaking supports, moving to the downside, indicating alts are really showing their strength. In my opinion, that's a higher probability than everything moving to the downside, Bitcoin taking the lead, and all alts just crashing to the floor. I think that that's a lower probable situation that we're going to be facing. So thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And until next time, have a good one, folks.